This is our bonus episode talking about Harley Quinn. I start with Harley Quinn because that's how it's been marketed these days. It's not called Birds of Prey anymore. On TV, it's just Harley Quinn. So, this is our bonus episode of Birds of Prey and the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn. We're going to give a very brief, 60-second non-spoiler intro, and then the whole rest of it's going to be spoilers. So, you have been warned. Lex, talk to me briefly. What do you think of this film?
I think I liked it, but I'm not 100% sure that I liked it. I don't think it's not really a film that's going to leave a lasting impression on me. I'm not going to go away from this thinking oh man, Birds of Prey is the new. I don't even know what to compare it to. It's not really a team up film. It's not what I went into expecting. It's not necessarily bad. I think we're placing it in regards to the other DCEU films. It's tonally incredibly different. It doesn't feel like it's part of the DCEU. Basically, I'm just kind of perplexed. That's where I'm at.
About 6 months ago, I thought to myself, okay, Birds of Prey film, it's going to be a kind of breakup film. It's going to be a bit of a chick flick. It's going to be this group of women coming together. It's going to be kind of a vehicle for feminism. I don't mean that in a dismissive way. I mean that in just a literal way. They're all going to come together and they're going to probably go up against, we knew it was Black Mask, a strong male figure in Gotham City. That's going to be it. And it won't be a great deal more than that. It won't be life-changing. And that's essentially what it was. I've come out of this film really liking Black Canary. I'm really liking Huntress. But this film has actually made me kind of like Harley Quinn less. Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn less.
Yeah, I preferred her in Suicide Squad. I think she seemed more competent in Suicide Squad than she did in this film.
It's currently rating at high 80s or even 90% on Rotten Tomatoes.
92.
Don't understand that at all. I've come out of it enjoying it. Great third act.
I'd give it a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, I'd say that'd be fair.
It's a solid film. It's not going to change your life. It's an enjoyable way to spend an evening, though.
Public service announcement: do not stay for the post credits.
Yeah, it's a complete waste of time.
It's genuinely 6 words voiceover, and it's frankly a bit of an insult to people who do stay on. It's not funny how maybe the Captain America, where he's sitting on the chair at the end of Spider-Man Homecoming possibly, where he's like, patience. Sometimes, you use patience and you think it's a waste of time. It was kind of funny. This is just an insult to the fans. Please don't stay after the post-credits. You're missing literally nothing. At this point, maybe we'll move into spoiler territory.
Yeah. The scenario is that, now that she's broken up with Joker, she's not... Harley is kind of wanted by everybody she's pissed off in Gotham City. And... Black Mask is supposed to be kind of on the same level as the Joker, but I never really got that sense from him. I really hated Ewan McGregor in this. There were several points in time where it felt like he was doing a parody of Joker, specifically Jared Leto's Joker, but not doing it in a particularly funny or skillful way, just he kind of was trying to emulate him. I'm not really familiar with the character of Black Mask, but in this film, he felt more like a joke than a real credible threat to them. And I was actually a bit surprised. I mean, they did kind of mention through the whole thing that he had this rivalry with Joker, and if Harley didn't belong to Joker, then she belonged to Black Mask, and he owned all of these people. But never once did I really believe that he was as powerful as he was meant to be. And then when he got this whole army at the end, it was kind of a surprise that he was able to wield that power. I'd sort of pictured him as this low-level thug who had grand aspirations and thought he was better than he was.
Ewan McGregor's one of those people where he can never maintain an accent that isn't his own for the duration of a film. That always bothers me about Ewan McGregor. Let's talk about Margot Robbie. Let's talk about Harley Quinn. What did you think of her in this film?
She was great. I've actually preferred her in Suicide Squad.
I preferred her in Suicide Squad as well. It's a bit of an outrageous comment to say, but I think, if anything, I like Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn less now due to this film. She was obviously nursing her breakup, but she was just wasted the whole time. She nearly got killed, and then Huntress used a little arrow to kill her attacker. She was about to be, in a very dark scene. She was about to be taken away by 2 men in the back of a van. And then Black Canary saved her in that scenario. Then finally she would do this thing where she killed 30 guys in a row using a baseball bat, using a beanbag gun, using kind of gymnastics and stuff like that.
The first kind of 2/3 of the film were her basically going around just beating people up. Yeah. There was very little plot progression, very little story. The thought I had at one point, I think it might have been when she was going through the police department looking for Cassandra Cain, was it's very obvious that Margot Robbie was the impetus behind this film. That's how much Harley kicking ass is in there. And it didn't always feel like it was necessary. It kind of just felt like she was showing off.
Let's talk about Cassandra Cain. She was a vessel for a diamond, nothing else. What a waste of a character.
She wasn't even a character. She didn't have any sort of personality. She essentially was just the thing the diamond was in. And even during like the climactic battle scene, everybody was just sort of like passing her around. She didn't contribute at all to saving anybody or getting them out of the situation. It was basically that Harley Quinn and the other three had to continuously save her and protect her. So yeah, she was kind of a useless mascot kind of character.
I mean, and that was like the whole film was built around that, which was, I think, one of the major concerns I had with it. There was almost no story. Diamond from this wealthy family, engraved on this diamond was where their family treasure was buried or something, and this girl swallows the diamond. That was the story, recovering the diamond. There are films out there in the world that have less of a story than that. I won't pretend it's the worst one ever, but the DCEU it's had some good hits recently, but it's not. Fans haven't forgiven it yet. You can't just pull hey, this is a diamond MacGuffin situation in a film with the Birds of Prey, with Harley Quinn as Margot Robbie's kind of possibly the jewel in DCEU's crown at the moment. Everybody else has either left their roles or has been critically panned at some point. And that was the film, ladies and gentlemen. That was the film.
And yet we both liked it.
Honestly, the third act saved the entire film. Up until the bit where Doc betrays her, everything after that I really enjoyed. Everything before that I was very kind of blur about. The first two acts were built up entirely of really overdone use of non-linear narrative, which I really enjoy. I really enjoy some non-linear narrative. It was used again and again and again to kind of show how all these women had crossed paths in the past, and that was kind of to build up how they all kind of knew of each other, and then so that they all finally came together in the third act. The big final act showdown I was really into. I've got to be honest, it was silly. It was exactly what you'd expect Harley Quinn to be doing, and the group were kind of forming, the 5 women group were kind of forming in this moment. That was great, but everything before that was just the non-linear narrative, Harley explaining how all of them have come into each other's lives, the route that the diamond has taken over these days, Harley getting over Joker. And this is 2 acts. This wasn't like the first 20 minutes of the film. This is 2 acts. But finally, when they came together, we had a bit of a situation like, in Shaun of the Dead, where the karaoke machine's playing as they fight the zombies. It was a Queen song, I can't remember which one. It was kind of like this. And then Harley on a roller skates chasing after Cassandra Cain. I liked the third act. That has elevated this from like a 5 out of 10 to like a 6 out of 10.
One whole number.
I mean, fractionally more if I was feeling generous. And the other person I really disliked was Montoya. After her partner kind of betrayed her, she was now shown to be an alcoholic. She was portrayed as someone not very good at her job, probably in her late 30s, early 40s. If you're in a team where they go around beating people up, I don't know what her kind of role in the team would be. She wasn't exactly like a good fighter, and so her inclusion on the team was kind of strange. And then at the end, she wasn't a cop anymore because she'd given up her gun and her badge. But I thought it'd be like a Hippocratic oath as a doctor, where that shit lasts, whether you have a badge or not, because Huntress is basically a serial killer. Harley Quinn is Harley Quinn. She suddenly became very buddy with them. And so at the end, when Huntress, Black Canary and Montoya were like the birds of prey, and they all had these matching outfits, and they had just beaten up a group of men, you kind of thought, like, what did Montoya do there?
Well, even during the kind of like big climactic fight, she didn't take on that many people. Yeah, she was more of a liability than... I was surprised that she was included in Birds of Prey.
Yeah. If you see Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn, like, destroying probably 20, 30 guys in a row with beanbag guns, with gymnastics, with a baseball bat, as I said, and then she comes up against Montoya, who's older than the rest of the team, let's put it that way. And, magically she can fight Harley Quinn. Okay, great. Yeah, that was a bit weird. This film works if it's Huntress, if it's Black Canary, and if it's Harley Quinn, and they kind of know each other by the end of Act 1, and then something happens. that's how you kind of make this a better film.
Yeah, because the Birds of Prey doesn't even come together until the epilogue. I expected more from Black Canary and Huntress than we got. They waited until like the last 20 minutes for Black Canary to actually reveal that she had powers and used them. And I don't know, I expected more of a group of women kicking ass throughout the entire thing than following Harley Quinn for 2 hours.
So, not into Black Mask, not into Montoya, not into Cassandra Cain. I've got to be completely honest. I feel like, having watched this film, Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn is now, like, has fallen in my estimation slightly.
Definitely.
As badass as she was. But Black Canary and Huntress, I really liked them. I thought Huntress, even though we didn't get enough of her, and she was kind of played as a bit of a
not very well socialized.
Yeah, just a bit of a, she's been living maybe the Oliver Queen lifestyle.
Yeah.
This is her first, it's like she's a human learning how to speak some of the time. But her backstory, I was really into. Even though she had the least amount of screen time, I actually felt that she was the most fleshed out due to her flashbacks and her kind of family tragedy story.
Arrow did a whole thing with Huntress. She's been in several comics before, like she's a frequent character. We've seen her in several other places, and I mean, I went into this film knowing her whole backstory, so I don't know that they really fleshed out the character that much in the backstory. For me at least, I didn't learn anything I didn't already know, and I didn't really feel like I was being let into her as a character. I feel like she's actually the least defined out of all of them, except for maybe Montoya, who was basically characterized as a cheesy 80s cop.
Well, weirdly, after watching Arrow, I don't feel I know anything about Enchantress. Huntress. You've got me saying twice. I must have just disregarded all of it.
Yeah, you must have.
Was it in season 3 or something?
I forget. It was one of the earlier seasons, but they did her whole backstory and everything about her.
Don't remember at all. So coming out of this film, like I said, I just feel like those 3 women should have been the focus, and I want to see more of Huntress. I want to see more of Black Canary. I don't know in what capacity they'll come back, other than Birds of Prey 2, presumably. But yeah, I just think there was something generally missing in this film for me. I probably needed a really egregious cameo by somebody. I know it would go against everything this film kind of stands for, but I don't know, maybe in the final act I thought Joker was going to kill Black Mask and take back his city, in quotation marks. It would have gone very much against what this film stands for, kind of female independence. A breakup film, a group of women kind of coming together and finding it became like a sisterhood. I get that, and so Joker would have been very much against that idea. I probably needed something else. Like you said, it didn't really feel like a DCEU film to me. You could have given all these women different names and it would have survived as a film.
This didn't feel like Gotham, and it didn't feel like a DCEU film, despite the fact that we had Harley in it, and she was very obviously the Harley from Suicide Squad. Yeah, I think it's a little, because I was really excited. It's a little bit of a disappointment. I really wanted this to be kind of like a super kick-ass film, and it just didn't quite hit the mark. I don't think it would have been better having a Joker or Batman cameo in it. I think I got really pissed off about the inclusion of the Waynes and that whole storyline. I think they should have just left it, and I think Birds of Prey made the right move by stepping away from that. Batman was mentioned and Joker was mentioned, but we didn't actually see them. Huntress, Harley Quinn, and Black Canary, if they'd had a good story, like a meaty story that, all 3 acts hits all the right points and stuff, I think they could have held it. But it was basically about Harley inadvertently and accidentally stumbling through a series of events with no kind of real planning or deliberation. I mean, just about everything happened by chance. I just remember, at one point, I think we were nearing the 2-hour mark, and I realized how far into the film we were, and I was actually surprised, because not a whole lot had actually happened.
Yeah.
I think it was right before the kind of big showdown fight, and it was just kind of like, oh, that's all this film is going to be about. Okay, that's a little bit disappointing.
Yeah.
I think if it had been Harley, Black Canary, and Huntress with a better story, they could have definitely pulled off this film, but the story here is just so thin that it doesn't really carry it.
I went into this film kind of with high expectations, and a month ago my expectations were as low as can be, but all of the reviews this week, all of the kind of praise it's been getting, I thought, wow, like, okay, like, I definitely didn't see this coming. Like I said, I thought it was going to be just a bit of a chick flick girl group kind of getting together because Harley's had a breakup, you know, and she's looking for some kind of sisterhood with other people. And so I kind of was like, I'll watch it, but I'm probably not going to enjoy it. And so it does surprise me that this film has gained so much critical praise. You know, like you said, 92% on Rotten Tomatoes at the moment. I kind of am a bit baffled by that.
I'm still perplexed by it. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about it. I think I like it, but I'm not sure. I might change my mind in a couple days after I think about it for a minute. I mean, I would say, like, yeah, it's a watchable film. Go check it out. Just don't have your expectations too high.
I think I would agree with that. Thanks for listening. We'll be back on Wednesday with our regular scheduled episode 71. Goodbye.
See ya.